how I got into this mix.
What's up, everyone? We're about 3 weeks away from the 2016 United States presidential election, and it's got me thinking about voting and about the state and all kinds of things. So I want to share some of my thoughts with you guys. First off, I really want to illustrate the fact that states, the concept, the idea of this institution that runs governments and controls masses of people in a geographical landmass, this idea that a group of men and women and individuals, elite groups of people, maintain monopoly on the law and on force and taxation and a number of other things, that very idea itself is a cult. It is, a religion. Larkin Rose said it best with his book, The Most Dangerous Superstition, talking about statism. And I think it's important to recognize that just like any cult or any religion, the state, they have their holy places, their holy rituals, and their sacraments, like the Pledge of Allegiance, the anthem, all these different things that we're expected to stand up and to sing proudly and to hold your hand over your heart and to show respect, and the military, all these various institutions. The cult of America, one of the biggest rituals is voting. Voting is another area where the Americans, and I don't think it's just in America, but most people around the world were taught in these places that are, supposedly democracies or constitutional republics or whatever you want to believe, that these places are more free, and because of our freedom and our privilege, we should vote because that's what every good free person does. And there's a lot of brainwashing that goes on from birth to the moment you enter the state's institutions, if you were unfortunate enough to enter those state institutions, where they start programming the state's version of history and the state's ideas and the state's government, and you grow up thinking that this is the only way that the world works, or that this view that you're taught is the truth. It's objective truth, which often, as we find out, is not the truth. So this brainwashing goes on, and it continues to push this myth that voting itself is an act of empowerment, that this is something we should be proud of. Now, when people talk about non-voting or non-voting as an action, as a strategy, not out of apathy, people often shoot back and talk about, women's suffrage. They talk about minorities being unable to vote and women being unable to vote. And obviously those were, there was different times. There was horrible treatment to blacks and to foreigners in the United States and to women. And a lot of that continues to this day. But the act of voting, giving these groups of people the act of voting, was simply a charade designed to give them the belief that they were participating. Now, you are a part of the club. Now you can help pick which slave master you want. You can pick certain things, especially when it comes to the presidential race. I will say that there are some examples that many people can bring to my attention that local voting will have an impact and can have an impact. I can understand that argument, but I also at the same time think that voting in itself legitimizes this system that doesn't care about us. It doesn't care about the wars, about launching wars of aggression, the drug war, all these various problems. Politicians and individuals can promise things and they can run for office and say that they're going to change or fix this or that, but ultimately they're just one individual and they cannot change a system that is corrupted, and some would say by design, to disempower people and to disenfranchise people. So you legitimize that system with your vote. And also the other problem that I have with voting is that people often distance themselves from the personal responsibility of their choices when it comes to voting. So if you choose to vote for a Clinton or for a Trump or a Johnson or a Stein or Obama or a Bush or whoever, you, in a way, own the actions of that person. Now, ultimately, they're responsible for their own actions, and I completely understand and believe that. But by saying that, hey, I am going to put my weight behind this person and go into this ballot box and write their name on a slip or press this button, you are saying you endorse them and their actions. And many people accept that politicians lie when they run for office. And then whenever that politician does get into office and they go back and they prove themselves to be a liar, their supporters will say, hey, well, they can't do everything, or they're only one person, or they'll admit that they expected them to lie. That's just what they do. But all these things are unacceptable for me. I don't want to play that game. I don't want to join in that charade. I have some other videos on voting as a strategy and why I don't vote, and I'll post those links below if you want to know more about that. But even when we talk specifically about the election in 2016, Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, let's look at those candidates. Now, personally, I don't see much to value in either of these people. They're both warmongers. They both will continue the surveillance state. They both have a horrible record when it comes to showing that they truly care about the people. Donald Trump on his business dealings doesn't seem to care about the people. Hillary Clinton and her actions as Secretary of State and things that she supported in Honduras and other places and in Libya. I mean, they're both these are not people that I want to be represented by. I don't want to even give them the respect of paying them any mind, so I pay as little mind to them as possible. These are the major choices in America today. We have also, Gary Johnson, Joe Stein, these other people that we could vote for, but ultimately, again, I don't think that is something that I want to support. But when it comes to Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, this is an interesting aspect I've been realizing, is that in some ways, these two characters are representing archetypes that exist within each of us. They're representing the feminine and the masculine. Donald Trump representing this sort of macho, machismo strongman that some people seem to identify with and that they think is necessary in order to take America back to being great again and fixing problems in this country. And I can empathize with people who are seeking a radical change in order to try to make things better. And then when it comes to Hillary Clinton, there are people who see her representing of feminine qualities, nurturing, she's playing this grandmother figure up. I don't think this is true, but this is what they're trying to portray her as, is she's the caring one. She cares about health care, she cares about the working class. Again, she's a grandmother. Now, obviously, anyone can display feminine and masculine traits, but ultimately I think that there's this dichotomy that we're seeing, and it's a dichotomy that is within each of us. We each have certain traits of feminine and masculine, and maybe somewhere in between there at different times and different situations. But these two archetypes of the feminine and masculine are being used as a way to physically, politically, and I think on a spiritual level, divide us and cause division within ourselves. So there's this pulling apart of feminine going this extreme way and masculine going this way. And that doesn't mean all women support Hillary or all men support Trump. I just mean those qualities. So maybe you identify more with some of those qualities that you see in Hillary, so you go that way, and some go this way to Trump. But ultimately, we're being pulled apart. And in that vacuum, that space there, that's where the state thrives. That's where the state is corrupting our being and trying to disempower us and make us believe that voting is the only way, or that this system is the only way to create change. And I think that's important to recognize. The elections are just amazingly beautiful times to divide people. It's just so disgusting, but amazing when you really step back and recognize that we are being divided every 4 years, and even more rapidly every election cycle, and we allow that to happen. So in this space where the state exists and where we're being pulled apart, there's also an opportunity, though. This is where myself and my friends here in Houston and others around the country and around the world are developing a concept of freedom cells. We're trying to replace that imbalance that is existing within each of us, that the state is exploiting by dividing our masculine and feminine qualities. We're trying to reapply balance through empowering our communities, through mindfulness, through the conscious resistance, and through freedom cells. So we now have a house here, and we're trying to show people how to get off the grid and to empower themselves through the counter economy and through non-voting and through action in your local community to empower yourselves. This is an idea that we really think can be revolutionary and can change things around much quicker and, well, I don't want to say quicker, but much more lasting. It might take a few generations, but it's going to be real change compared to voting for a candidate. I want to issue a challenge. If you do believe that voting for Trump or Clinton or any of these people are going to actually bring you towards a more free society, a more prosperous lifestyle, then take up this following challenge, okay? Go and vote for them, and in 2020, 4 years from now, if your candidate has been elected, see how much closer you are to your goals. Think about what you want out of your life and what you're trying to achieve and what you're hoping to accomplish by voting for a person. And in that same time, we'll be building our freedom cells, and we'll see who is further along in advancing our lives to creating abundance and freedom and community and compassion and empathy and brotherhood in our communities and in our lives. We'll see who gets further along in that process, either by voting or by building within our community. And we challenge you guys to get involved and to start doing things in your own community. If you want to learn more about that, check out freedomcells.org. And that's all I got to say today. Remember, guys, voting is a ritual. Voting for these people and believing that real change is going to come from there, it's not going to happen. I know many people out there are feeling empowered now, and they're thinking, I need to go out and vote now because we have to stop Hillary. There's no jokes this time. This is serious. We have to go out there and stop Trump. You know, one way or the other, people are being taught that this is an important time for them to come be the hero. But you can be the hero now, in this moment, every day, within your own life and your own community. Don't let these people trick you into believing that their game matters. Remember, you are powerful, you are beautiful, you are free. Peace.